Yeah, why do Discord accounts get termed so much?
It was because of
It's
a
not
meme.
really. Uh,
Actually, it was a safe image, but for some reason it's like blacklisted on Reddit and Discord.
oh, is it one of those ones where it's like, I don't know, it's like one of a guy eating like popcorn and Discord flagged it as
Yeah.
shit.
hmm
That's not very nice of you.
Yeah. Only took me like 4 accounts to figure that out. Then I got banned for ban evasion, and that's it.
That's how it is. Like
hmm
permanently.
Oh yeah, on
Is
every
there a
account.
long-term solution, or do you just?
Well, I just changed my IP and that's it. Use a different email.
Oh,
Don't use
oh,
the Apple theme, and don't add people
oh yeah.
instantly. Yeah, seems like a lot of people got falsed recently for child safety.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, I don't really talk to that many people, so I've not seen it happen to anyone really. But
hmm
outside of my little friend group, I don't know how much it happens.
Oh, I'm just talking about like subs on Reddit.
Oh,
That's where you
oh,
find.
okay. I thought you were talking about like
It happened to
specifically
Sosa
Jules.
too. Yeah, I don't
Ah, that's
talk in
true.
the Jules com. Useless.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
I mean, it's already dead because of Lilith. Yeah, I guess let's start with Geometry Dash. You do have 18k hours. What's your goal with playtime? And do you actually play the game?
Yeah, I do. I almost made it at this point, to be honest. My Wi-Fi is not very good at the moment, but one of my IRL friends started playing it just on his laptop in like 2022, and he'd showed me like progress of him beating stuff. I thought it looked cool. I already played Minecraft for a while at this point, so I already had a computer, and at some point he started playing on my computer, and then so one thing led to another. I just started playing as well, and yeah, no, I do play the game. I don't just farm hours, but I think it's funny. I like seeing numbers go up, so
hmm
I just leave it open whenever my PC's not turned off for the night or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if
How
you have any
many hours do
friends
you
on
have
Steam.
in GD? Like actual hours?
Let me check.
Actual?
Okay, well,
Not
I
the
have
farmed
I have
ones?
18,000 hours of playtime, but in probably 4K. I'm not
Wow.
sure. I honestly don't really know. It's quite a hard thing to judge, but
Yeah, just an estimate.
quite a lot, quite a lot. Yeah, reasonable amount.
hmm Seems like that's a trend
Probably
in the Jules
definitely
com.
not as much as yeah, definitely not as much as Minecraft. Though I've still only been playing GD for like 3 years, half the
hmm
time.
Yeah, I see that's a trend in the Jules community to play a side game, and it's always these, I don't know, small
It's
games, I
always
guess. Terraria, GD,
yeah.
Os.
Actually, I haven't met that many Terraria players from the Duels Con. There's a lot of people that play GD, like
hmm
a lot of people. So there's also quite a large. Actually, it's not really the Duels community is kind of a bunch of small communities meshed together into one. I feel
hmm
there are GD communities kind of work differently. There's lots and lots of small like servers and friend groups, and I mean people know each other, but you'll see a lot of just like IGNs that you recognize from GD in Minecraft on Hypixel. There's a
hmm
lot of crossover. I'm not really sure why, but I
I
don't know.
assume
They
it's low
seem to go
spec.
hand in hand.
Anyone can run it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, people have better computers, but yeah, they are like both pretty low intensity games, so it would kind of make
hmm
sense.
I mean, some Jules mains still have like shit PCs.
Yeah, you have to. I don't know. It's been such a long time since I've had a bad computer. My
Same.
computer isn't amazing, but it was fine when I built it.
Hmm.
I said at least it functions. I don't really need to optimize anything, but
Yeah.
it's been such a long time. So
What's your CPU/GPU? Real
H.
quick.
Uh, sorry, I'm so. Can you say that again?
What is
Like,
your CPU and GPU?
oh, task manager time.
Do you not remember?
I have dude, no, I built it like 5 years ago. A Ryzen 5800X.
Ooh.
I have an RTX 3060,
That's okay.
don't I? Yeah, 3060. I have like 32 gigs of RAM. Nothing like crazy, but
Yeah.
when I built it, it was like good.
That's
But I mean,
actually
now like
similar to my
the
PC.
50 series are coming out. Oh, fuck.
I have a 3060 Ti, 5700X 3D, and also 32
Oh,
gigabytes of
no.
RAM. Team AMD.
That's,
Ooh.
yeah, no, I've never really done Intel CPUs.
They're always expensive. Same with the motherboards. With AMD, you can just go cheap fully for both CPU and motherboard.
Yeah, my brother's actually building a PC, so I've kind of
Mhm.
sent him a better version of my parts list. So he's probably going to have a relatively similar computer at some point. At least we're both going AMD
Yeah. The AM4
and
platform
stuff.
is still good for gaming. 1080p
Yeah,
Ultra,
that's all
1440p Ultra. Okay, let's
kind of
start.
going. Yeah,
Let's go into Minecraft. How did you begin
Minecraft
Minecraft?
time.
Yeah.
How did I begin Minecraft? Kind of weird. I played like survival and messing around in creative worlds of Redstone and like 1.12, 1.11, and that was like nothing particularly serious. I just did it for fun in between days and time at school. And at some point, I started watching a lot more YouTube videos from Minecraft, like I don't know, Hermitcraft and people like that. And eventually, that led into like early-ish Bed Wars YouTubers. This would have been in like 2018. I saw a few people. What was his name? Unspeakable Gaming, I believe.
Oh yeah, the
I
frog
saw
skin.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
His really old videos. I saw him playing Bed Wars. I thought it looked really fun. Uh, so yeah, I tried it, and I kind of played normally for a bit, and then at some point I started realizing people like talk to each other while playing, and so I got Discord, and then I started playing gradually more and more. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I branched out, but I played Bed Wars for like 250 stars, maybe, before I branched out into Duels.
How did you find out about Jules?
Um, well, one of my friends from Bed Wars, who I don't really speak to anymore, unfortunately. He's barely on the internet, but like, in that kind of, I don't want to say back in that time because it wasn't like that long ago, but people still do. He's like Bridgestone for Bed Wars, but I was like, yeah, just your average case of that. I mean, my friend would, I would get on and he'd say, "Yo, we should warm up." And I'd be like, "Sure." And then he'd walk us into a bridge game. We didn't even like play for goals really. We'd just like hit each other off and mess around. So it was still very casual. And at some point, I just started playing more bridge without him. There was a there was a pretty defining game that took place. honestly just cannot remember when. I know it was on Cheesy, and Mr. Cheesy, the map, in Solo Bridge. A huge let me type the IGN out. White underscore Tigress. I think I had 3 S's. Sorry, let me check this quickly. I know I can find the account's name. I'm looking back at my first YouTube video. Yeah, it was 3 S's. Yeah, that's the name of the account. And that was an alt at the time of Pra, who was one of the better players. Wasn't like top of the top, but he was really good for the time. And I don't know, he was just wiping the floor with me, and I said, "Can you teach me?" And he said, "Yeah," which is very generous because I would not do the same. But he kind of got me into the competitive side at the moment. At that time, the whole competitive community was in the Bridges Discord server, so it was pretty much as simple as inviting me to that. And once I met the requirements to join the guild, I did. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I got into Bridge, really.
What was the appeal behind the actual game mode? What did you enjoy
I
about it?
don't know. It's repetitive enough that you don't need to apply a ton of effort most of the time. I'd say something like Bed Wars, you can have games go very differently. And at certain points, if I'm playing Bed Wars, I like, don't want to carry on for fear of a game just going really badly.
Yeah.
In Bridge, you can still have that, but I feel like the scope of options, the things that can happen are a lot slimmer. So there is a certain amount of unpredictability, but there's also a certain amount of that you know what's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
there's no invis. Like, it's kind of the same thing over and over again, but it isn't. And you have to find different ways of doing stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. The reason I gravitated towards Bridge was mainly just that it's kind of samey, but it's different enough to not get boring after playing it for ages.
Yeah. Something compared to like sumo.
Sumo's. I've not played very much sumo, but yeah, sumo, especially with the state of the queues, sumo is very much just the same thing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Obviously there is like playing well and not playing well, but I feel like Bridge is like a broader scope of what you can do.
Hmm.
I'm also not the best sumo player, so I have, I
Sure.
have, I have no idea really.
So you like bridge because
Sumo.
it's random, but you also have control most of the time over the game.
Yeah, it's a good balance between
Okay.
control and not getting boring really quickly, I think.
What about the length of each duel? Having to like score 5 goals.
And it really depends. I mean, the actual time it would take you to run into the goal 5 times on most maps is a minute and a bit. Obviously, that's not going to be the case quite a lot of the time. But I mean, if you're getting really lucky queues, you're just not fighting anyone that's going to do much, and you first rush them 5 times. Games last like minute 10, minute 20, but you can't count on that. Like your average game would be like minute 40, minute 50.
And you're fine with that
And
time.
then, yeah, I mean, there's queuing times as well, but that's not really as much of an issue since the dodging update. You should account for it being like 2.5, 3 minutes from the start of one game to the start of the other, including queuing time.
Hmm.
It's not too bad. Obviously, doubles is slower than solo, but I don't really mind the way. I find it
Yeah.
more fun.
Most people actually just prefer to get wins, so they would mean something quick where they can quick drop people, like classic or sumo. Do you quick drop
Yeah, I know
always?
I do, but I
Overall,
also like talking to people. In overall duels, I mean, most of my wins obviously are in bridge.
Yeah.
But then my second, third, and fourth titles are all like pretty quick modes for UHC Sumo and Classic. So I guess I do, but like those modes have always been like backups. Like, I haven't really mained any of them. I
Mhm.
have stuck with bridge pretty much the whole time, but I mean occasionally I play some other games and that's accumulated into however many other titles.
Okay. So let's move on from bridge to semi overall. How is toxicity in bridge compared to other modes from your experience?
It's It's quite varied because there's a certain degree of toxicity that all people are exposed to, regardless of if you are in the community, not in the community, if you cheat, if you don't cheat, etc. But I guess it's not like the baseline. You're going to get people saying things in chat if you're just playing solo mindlessly. You will see people getting mad, and that
Mm-hmm.
happens in every game. So I wouldn't say that's particularly crazy. But bridges, especially like the Hypixel side of bridge, which we'll talk about later, there are other sides. But that's somewhat divided up into not so much different servers, but just like different groups. I don't know. Not officially or anything, but most people are in a kind of friend group of people they associate and hang out with. And you kind of that varies. So there aren't really sniping groups anymore, but there used to be, and people would play snipes, which I guess links back to toxicity. But a lot of a lot of it's just who you talk to. I don't really try to tie in with people that want anything other than to just play the game and talk.
So
I'm
it's
not really.
average
Well, yeah, I mean it's fine.
toxicity. Yeah.
Once you get into like the more kind of toxic end of the spectrum, I mean there is a lot of swatting, doxing, like all the bad stuff. But I mean that happens in every community
Yeah.
to some degree. That I don't really interact with that side of it, so I don't know a ton about it. But it definitely happens. But that's all in servers I don't really know about or talk in.
Mm-hmm.
So
So pretty much on the casual
it's
side.
fine if you. Yeah, and I'd say I would consider myself a very consistent casual player.
Mm-hmm.
It's very community based. If you surround yourself with people that aren't weirdos, then you'll be fine. You won't have to deal with much of
Okay. Makes sense.
it.
What do you think about playstyles being toxic? Like blocking someone in their base being toxic?
um, so I'm trying to figure out what that means.
Like
It's not really
spamming
a sentence
blocks?
you hear. Spawn blocking. I
Or
mean,
like trapping them in their spawn pretty much? Like
yeah,
spamming
spawn
blocks.
blocking.
So they have to
It's not really.
dig. I see a lot of nons crying about it, saying it's toxic. What do you
Yeah,
think
I
about it?
mean, I feel like that's kind of a
Skill issue?
it's a weird. This is a kind of weird way of thinking about it because I mean, ultimately, you want to win the game. If you
Mm-hmm.
play a certain way, it's not really like the only reason you're gonna get fully spawn blocked is if you play worse. Be that because I don't know if they're cheating or they've just played more than you. But you know what? I wouldn't want to mark a certain way of playing as toxic. You can play excessively sweaty, but that's not really toxic per se. I mean, if they have the energy to expend on 20, 30 games trying really hard, they're probably going to do better than someone who doesn't. I wouldn't say that's toxic as much as just a different reason for playing the game.
Yeah. So pretty much it's
Good.
just a skill issue.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You can run
Yeah,
on
what
the
you said.
sides. You can literally place like 3 blocks and bypass it easily.
It depends how far it's taken, and you can just completely spawn. Well, obviously you can't spawn block on every map. I've had there. Shit, there used to be 3 maps you could spawn block on. They removed one of them. And Twilight got removed, so you can't spawn block on there anymore. It doesn't exist. And there's what's it called? Licorice. That's a spawn block map. And the only other one you could consider spawn block map is Condo, but you can. It's not a spawn block map. If I wait, can I share my screen? I don't know if you can put this in the
Sure. Hold on.
podcast. I say I might as well
Uh,
demonstrate because it's
Okay, go ahead.
very useful. Oh shit. This is a map that was made in oh my fucking god.
Mm-hmm.
Go away. This is a map that was made in 2020 to practice hippoing. See, it still has quite the old map from before the Duels update, still has Flora. I'm looking for Condo though. It's been such a long time since I've been in this. Shit. Dude, where is it? It's here. Oh, there.
You sure? Oh.
Um, wait, is this a build limits? Yeah, it does. Okay. So obviously you can. As I say, it's kind of weird to build up a spawn block without having a game played out first, but that's the build height. If you did have like a full, obviously this would be multiple blocks thick. This would be going like all the way back here. I might as well demonstrate that this is kind of impractical as a spawn block after the new update with blackbacks and stuff because you can just do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's consistent. You don't need to worry about getting predicted down. And obviously you can. It depends how far out they go because you can just do that to get out, but they can also just take this out as far as possible. The way to really fuck someone up is to leave this only one block at the top because I mean, there's nothing to clutch on, but at the same time, that's just a lot easier to break. But on Licorice, you might use the voice was playing so fast. On Licorice, you can't you can't do this because you're further back. But Condo is like barely a spawn block map anymore because you can just ghost block out of it. So I wouldn't say worry about getting spawn blocked really. There's only one map where it should happen, and then you can just map dodge. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So pretty much it's a skill issue.
If you get spawn blocked on any map other than Licorice, it's kind of a skill issue, yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't know.
You want to show me anything else, or is that it for the screen
I
sharing?
don't know. I mean, yeah, it's nothing I can think of really. That's
Okay. I think we can move on. Oh yeah, ping.
oh shit. Oh yeah. Ping's an interesting one because you do hear a lot of people complain about it. Obviously, I'm from and live in the UK, so yeah, like anywhere from 100 to like 130, 140 ms. It's actually a bit worse than that because I play on mobile data. I have like I say I'm waiting for the server to ping. Yeah, I'm at 141 right now, but it's much more playstyle based. I feel like it's kind of I know it's kind of the same in sumo. Like you're not inherently just going to play worse because you're on high ping. You can adapt to it, but yeah, it's the same in bridge. You need to learn what you can and can't do, and you can adapt to people doing certain things. The way I like to think of it, each ping range has like pros and cons. But obviously, on high ping, you can walk through people really easily. You can take really weird knockback, but I mean, you can't take like the kind of fights where you need to get first hit. So obviously, you're not going to get first hit against someone from the US, but if you're in the US, you can't really walk through as effectively. I honestly should have written up like a table, but I mean, yeah, it's more each ping range has its pros and cons. I think there is definitely a sweet spot of sorts, probably around like 60 to 70 ms, but it's not like that. It's not like that defined really. It's also kind of about how Hypixel works, because on scrims where obviously the competitive players hang out, they have like the knockback and stuff set up differently. And all of the top scrims players, like 20 ms, they click 20 CPS. And I'd say on scrims it is much more. The better players tend to be low paying. There are some good higher paying players, but Hypixel actually has it. To their credit, they have it set up quite well. There's no concrete like massive advantage to being on a certain ping range. So it's pretty fair unless you're like above 250 ms, which would
Makes sense.
you shouldn't be playing Minecraft at that point.
Truly. So for high
Yeah,
MS,
it's
you
pretty
just walk through people. That's the strategy.
I mean, yeah, I mean you can do that on low ping, but obviously they're gonna have an easier time predicting where you'll go if you're low ping. But yeah, there are just different ways of getting past people, which you kind of need the nuance of playing to understand. Otherwise, I'd happily describe it.
Mm-hmm. So you can't
But
PvP
yeah,
on high ping, pretty much.
you can PvP on high ping just as much as you can PvP on low ping. You just have to approach things differently. You have to obviously time your W taps and both shots differently. But I wouldn't say that's particularly exclusive to bridge. Definitely don't solely blame. Don't say I can't play bridge because I'm high ping, or yeah, I don't know. You can. There are ways around it. You just need to
Yeah,
find them.
bridge is pretty interesting, ping wise, because technically you don't have to PvP anyone. You can just run past them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you'd want to. You're not gonna be like 90% of people without killing them. But I mean,
Yeah, just in general
I
though,
guess
you
sometimes
could
run, isn't it?
technically
Yeah,
win
yeah, yeah.
by being passive.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Typically, if you want to get like fast wins, it's been a while since I've just sat down and tried to play a ton of games really quickly. But I mean, you want to avoid PvP a lot more. Assuming most of the people you fight aren't going to be amazing, you can kind of just hold W and get past people and not take a ton of fights. But that definitely won't work against like better players. You do have to adapt.
Mm-hmm. But we're talking about like the average player, I guess, which is a non who's like
Yeah,
semi fake
your
sweat.
average player. You don't need to. Yeah, that's also changed a lot. Your average player used to not know how to walk. Your average player now has a basic understanding. You need to jump in the goal 5 times. You need to not let them jump in the goal.
And they also copy like the meta sometimes in bad ways
Yeah,
too.
that's a whole other issue. Why? It's an issue. It's an issue if you like fast ones, but like the popularity of Bridge on YouTube from a few years ago has kind of influenced how people play. So you like every somewhat clueless but somewhat competent player watches. They pretty much just guarantee you they all watch like bridge YouTubers and just copy what they see
Mhm.
their favorite YouTubers do. And like you'll see them like building wings, you'll see them shift tunneling because that's what they see on YouTube. But I mean, they'll just do it and not know how to do it or really why they're doing it. So
Yep.
it's really easy to counter. But
They just accept
it's
that
kind of a
was
weird
too.
disconnect.
They usually
Yeah,
want to
and I
imitate
guess you have a
pedals.
similar thing with people. I guess you have a similar thing with people. I don't know. The one I see a lot is fireball jumping. Like since Duels started uploading a bunch of clips of him doing stuff with fireballs, like you can almost see it coming if you look at someone's stats. Like sometimes I'll see like a 1 FKDR 300 star and just look at them and be like, he's gonna try and fireball jump.
Yep.
It's I don't know. It's a similar thing in Bridge, but yeah, it is. I don't know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you want to get good at the game, you're better off getting good at basic mechanics than trying to do more complicated stuff as opposed to doing more complicated things badly. I feel like that's the same in every mode to some extent,
It
though.
is. Yeah. How do you play bridge on
Yeah.
100 ms? Or your MS specifically?
Um, my ping at the moment, I don't have very good Wi-Fi, so I can't PvP a ton at the moment. If I were to go and play sumo, I'd probably not do very well. But my Wi-Fi's kind of broken, so I've been playing on fucking mobile data for a while until it gets fixed. But I'd say I try to avoid PvP a lot more because most of the time it'll speed the games up. But I don't know. I feel like you can. I feel like you can become more reliant to some extent on PvP as you go down the ping scale. Like the lower you get, the more you'll probably want to use PvP to your advantage. That's not to say you can't PvP a lot on high ping, and that's not to say you can't avoid PvP on low ping. But I mean, a common like unifying factor among a lot of people I find, like if you see American people, they often like playing more PvP heavy. And I mean, if you do find a rare Australian player, if they learn pretty quickly. If you try to force PvP against someone you can't fight, you lose. So then they kind of drop everything and stop trying to PvP, which is kind of good. But I don't know. It's what I was saying earlier. There really is a you just kind of have to learn how you can and can't play.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you
if I were to move to the
mostly
US,
avoid
I
PvP?
would play completely differently, unless I
Yeah.
have to.
Makes
If
sense.
I'm playing doubles and we're fighting a good team, yes, you will have to PvP. Yes, you will have to bypass. Yes, you will have to defend. But given the choice, I try to avoid it.
Mm-hmm. It's mainly about 1v1, since in 2v2 you can be boosted.
Uh, I guess I don't know. I don't. Well, I mean, I used to cheat like 3.5, 4 years ago, but I I don't cheat. I haven't cheated in a very long time. I don't boost. I'm also a doubles main. I think I probably have 5,000 total solo wins between all the accounts I've played on, and probably about 1.5, maybe 2,000 wins outside of solo and doubles. I'm very much a doubles main
What's special about
to the
doubles?
point. I don't know. It's fun. I find it a lot more fun because when you get into 3v3, it's a bit too hectic. And obviously 3v3 was added relatively recently in comparison to when I started playing. So it was either 1v2, 1v1, 2v2, 4v4, or 4 teams doubles and 4 teams threes, which nobody has ever really played. But fours was way too hectic. The threes is threes is fine. It's honestly learning another playstyle. So you can't really transfer a playstyle from doubles to threes that easily. So what I like about doubles, it's just a good balance. Like you can win a 2v1 if you're at a base and you need to kill people to score. It's possible, but it's not like winning a 1v3, which you shouldn't rely on. It's a good balance of who's that SMS again. It's just a good kind of middle ground between being able to play fast and play safe. Also, having a teammate really helps to
Do you
keep
play with the same person?
somewhat focused.
What does it change?
It kind of cycles, honestly. I mean, me, I don't play with a lot of the people I was playing with when I started playing. In fact, I don't think I really play with anyone that I played with when I started out. But because they all quit. So in the long run, I kind of cycle between teammates. But in the shorter term, I mean, yeah, there are people I've known for 2.5, 3 years who I just kind of play with them. And then there are people I've run into who will, I don't know, go away for university when it's not in the holidays. So you sort of don't see them for a few months, then they log back on and you play a bit more. Yeah, I don't know. Back to the doubles thing though, the main reason I enjoy doubles so much more is because there is someone else to talk to. So you will get bored if you're playing a ton of bridge without like for me it has to be someone to talk to. Some people can get away with just listening to music or watching a video, but I don't know. It's much nicer to have someone else to talk to.
Text or VC or any?
Oh yeah, no, I just don't play if I'm not in a call. I don't play bridge if I'm not in a call with my teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Partly to not get bored, but also, I mean, if you do, now that you can't dodge, really, if you do just queue a sweaty game out of nowhere, comms are important.
Yeah.
It would take quite a long time to just get into a call whenever you have a sweaty game. So just stay in one.
Okay, makes sense. Why did you get the 1.2k win streak? Like, how much of it was
Um,
doubles versus solo?
Nearly the entire thing was doubles. My highest solo win streak ever was like 400. I'm just not very good at solo. So yeah, the whole thing was in doubles. I did probably just under half of it before the dodging update, and the rest of it you just have to be very careful. There's not much more to it. It's just a matter of being careful, not playing a lot, and getting lucky that people don't notice you haven't lost in a while.
Mm-hmm. How many games did you play a day?
I have gotten probably on average 10. I don't know. It was more. I had more do like 10 wins per day for like 4 days, and I just wouldn't play for a week. I wouldn't play bridge on that account for a week. Then I'd play a bit more. It's actually all about inconsistency, whereas getting a lot of wins is all about consistency. Especially now that you can't dodge anymore.
Yeah.
Getting win streaks is just about avoiding snipers, which you have no way of doing without Lilith, apart from just being very careful and knowing who's online. I got tipped off by friends of mine who are friends with the snipers, like countless times. I just get a message saying, "Hey, so and so's like just got on." I'd be like, "Okay, I'll stop killing now."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a lot of like cat and mouse, and I mean, I lost it because eventually I got sniped. That's whatever. My only goal really was to get above 1,000.
Yeah. That's a
So
decent goal.
yeah, as in my eyes, I succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
I have had one higher win streak than that, but I don't really count that as my highest win streak, even though I didn't cheat for it. The account did get banned. So my highest win streak I've ever got was 1,389, I believe. I just got banned mid-game on that. I got number 8 on the win streak leaderboards and just got banned mid-game, like 10 seconds.
Wow.
10 minutes after I started the session. But my highest win streak that I still can see is 1.2
Mm-hmm.
in bridge doubles.
Is that more loyal to the 1.3k win streak? Like, why did you get banned? How did it happen?
It was I'm 99% sure it was a staff ban, which is really dumb because I'm very, very careful about who I play with. And if I know they cheat, I want to make sure they're not cheating. I used to cheat ages and ages ago, but I stopped because came to the realization that there's like no point playing if you're not like really going to be playing. You could apply that logic to dodging, but I don't. My best theory is someone was looking at the replays as I got on the win streak leaderboard like a few hours before that day. I got number 10 and then I got straight up to number 8 because there was like a very small win gap. It's my only real explanations. Someone looked at the replays and concluded I couldn't have gotten it. I don't know if there was any
So
corruption
suspicion, pretty
involved.
much.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I know I wasn't cheating. I know my teammate wasn't cheating. I don't really expect anyone else to believe that, but
Yeah,
it's whatever.
that's fine. Can't do much
I
about
lost
false
it.
bans.
I have one maybe it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Sucks.
Yeah, can't do much. At least you still have your 1.2k win streak.
Yeah, that's in bridge though. My highest overalls. It's lower than that.
Still though, it's a nice win streak.
Slightly onto Hypixel.
Since
I think
dodging
it's
is gone.
1,000. I think my best overall is 1,065. Would love to tell you, but it's not letting me join. Funnily enough, I do actually. That's my bridge win streak isn't even my highest win streak in Duels. I have a 1.3k post brief win streak, but I just don't main that, and I just it's a whole other.
Yeah, TNT is pretty safe.
Yeah, I don't really talk about that if someone asks what my highest win streak is, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could call me a buzzproof main with like 4,000 wins or whatever.
Let's move on to cheaters. So how do you deal with cheaters who have like pretty much maxed out settings versus like closet cheaters who only have like velo?
Okay, well you don't really get b-hopped on much. You okay, well Fly used to be what people would use, doesn't it? That just doesn't work. It hasn't for 3 years. So I'd be very surprised if I saw someone flying. But for argument's sake, I wouldn't talk about countering that because there wasn't really much you could do. B-hopping, dunno, your best chance is hoping they're stupid. I mean, you can unironically block trap people if you build like a top bridge. I've beaten a lot of hoppers just by breaking the bridge that they'll run along and having my team or me race. That's like more effective than it should be. If it's a competent B hopper that's obviously going to see stuff like that coming, then you're kind of fucked. The main thing people use to stand now is Blink, which is arguably even more broken than B hopping, because I mean, some clients can quite literally just have a player blink from their base to their opponent's base, and you don't even get a chance to hit them or see them. So your only hope of fighting Blink is once again hoping they're stupid. And I mean, you can, if you can predict the path they're going to take, if you can place or break blocks in that path, it'll lag them back. But that's not consistent, really. It's more of a last resort. It's not something you should count on working, but it has. But yeah, sniping is much harder to deal with because I mean you'll get sniped with about the same frequency, but at least before you could see them coming, as it were. But now you can't. You just need to rely on next to nothing.
Yeah. And what about the
Sniping's
small
definitely become more
settings,
effective.
like velo only?
I don't know, stuff like that. I mean, the worst you'll have to fight in terms of like closet cheating, just not be hopping, is like obviously autoclicker, fast place, velo. The one that people start using after Reach got patched, I think, is fake lag, which is basically Reach, but I don't actually know how it works, but it has something to do with sending packets to the server weirdly, and it makes you appear laggy and you hit from further.
People used to do that in
Don't
sumo.
ask me, I don't know. Yeah, but your only like solid method for that is just do what they do. I mean, if they're forcing PvP and you can't force PvP better, then bypass. If they're sorry, I completely lost my train of thought.
So just do the opposite of what they're doing, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, just don't take fights with them. You
Mhm.
can, as we talked about earlier, you can walk through people. That's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the only way you're gonna win the
Alright.
PvP game against someone like that is if they're like really, really, really incompetent. I mean, most of the snipers at the moment are not completely incompetent. They can at least cheat effectively. So getting sniped is kind of a death sentence unless you get like a really good map where you can't like wing effectively or something. Because a lot of people like scaffolding and wing out instantly.
Mhm. Is that all?
Kind of, yeah. Oh, unless you want to cheat back. I'm just saying, if they're cheating, I
No,
wouldn't, but
there's
I
probably
don't
no
know.
point
I know people that, yeah,
unless
no,
you're on a win
literally.
streak.
So dumb. I would genuinely rather just take the loss and move on. As one more point, like most of the time when I get sniped now, if I don't find myself in a position to win after like 2-3 minutes, I just re-queue because most of the time they'll have like some closet cheating config from the beginning. But I mean, if you score a few times on them, they'll just start blinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Most of the time, if I get sniped and I'm not like completely winning by that side, I just re-queue. Just save time, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. What was your next question?
People actually do that in sumo too. If it's against someone with 0-0 and they're just trading in middle, the grinder would usually just
Yeah,
queue because it's a waste of time.
re-queue. I do that as well.
Okay, let's move on
In
to
sumo, obviously,
playstyle.
ambush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's your playstyle? And is this consistent against all types of players, from shit to semi decent?
It's very mindless. I don't know. Most of the time when I'm playing, I don't really want to devote like a ton of effort to the game because I don't know. I play a lot. I have played a lot. I don't
Mhm.
have the best energy levels, so most of it's just W holding.
Makes sense.
And obviously, when you do need to adapt, you have to. That's the flip side of it. If you do queue like good players, you have to just be able to snap out of it, which some people don't. So some people, whenever they queue, will just be trying their very hardest 100% of the time, but they might only play like 10 games. The upside of playing mindless, in my words, is that you can play a lot more than that, 'cause you're not putting much energy into 90% of the games. But there's a lot of, I think we talked about this earlier as well, but bypass, like, don't take fights unless it
Yeah.
really benefits you. So a lot of games you'll finish with like, well, I'll finish like 1, maybe 2 kills, because I mean, just trying to get past your opponent as opposed to pushing them back. Yeah, I don't know. Some people play differently.
Yeah. And this is why I enjoyed Lilith, and the only reason I even grinded Sumo, because it was so chill.
Yep.
You can dodge all the sweats and cheaters, and just be brain dead in the queue. So you just play mindlessly, pretty much. That's your quote
Yeah,
unquote
pretty much.
playstyle.
Just listen to music, talk to people,
And if someone's like actually
chill.
decent, you just snap out of it.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes you have a harder time snapping out of it, and you'll give up goals before you
Mhm.
can actually quote unquote lock in, which is another downside. But if it works, it works.
What would you change about bridge duels?
There's a lot of stuff about the update that's just not been very good. The new lag back system's very annoying. It's kind of a double-edged sword actually, because you don't get lag back in the same way that you used to. I don't know how familiar you are with that if you haven't played a ton of Bridge or Red Bulls or whatever, but you used to kind of just get put back like a few blocks or a block. But now if you're bypassing, for example, and you get lag back, you'll quite literally just phase through the floor. Then you can't really do anything. You can't clutch. You can't hit people, and that can get triggered by next to nothing. Like, you can trigger it just from getting hit, and the server just isn't having a good day or something. So that really sucks. But it doesn't happen a ton. It doesn't happen as much as old lagbacks used to.
So you would get rid of it.
The
Change
upside
it
is
back.
you could manipulate the old lag back system. You could force yourself to lag back in a way that would be beneficial. That was always considered a somewhat toxic thing to do, but at least it could serve a purpose. The new prediction anti-cheat just you can't live. If you trigger it, it kills you, and that can and does throw a lot of games in different modes. Um, honestly, it's might be a hot take for other bridge players, but at that I like the 5-second cage time more than 3 seconds. Gives you a little bit more time to think, and I mean you can also do more in the cage in 3 seconds. You'd be lucky to, if you want to switch songs or something, you'd be lucky to tab out, switch songs, tab back in, pre-gap, and then have like good momentum getting out the cage with the
Mhm.
3-second cage time. With it higher, obviously you can do more stuff.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is going to enjoy that opinion of
Well,
yours.
yeah, because it does slow the games down, and over time it adds up. Because I definitely can't see that being reintroduced, but that's something I personally would have liked. Maps, they removed a lot of maps, and they added some new ones. The only of the new maps that I really like is Outpost, because that actually feels like a fun map to play. It's balanced. There's no crazy like bad things you have to deal with. The other two maps kind of suck in their own respective ways. So I mean, I wouldn't miss those maps if those were removed again. Outpost is fun though, and the really new map is fine. They just need to fix the build height on it, because you can still go like 4 blocks above. They kind of fixed it. You used to be able to go like 50 blocks into the air on that map, but they kind of fixed it. They didn't properly fix it.
Mhm.
So that could get reverted. And I mean, on the subject of maps, Flora was like people were not happy when they removed that map. It's a very good map, and yeah, everyone it's kind of in agreement from what I've heard that it shouldn't have been removed. Uh, I don't know. Aside from that, it would be nice if dodging was reintroduced, but I mean that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, of course. And you're
But
fine
it
with the
would.
actual mode itself?
Yeah, the actual mode itself isn't in too bad of a state. I mean, obviously, same old stuff, better anti-cheat, blah blah
Yeah,
blah, less server lag, whatever. But I mean, I'd have given you the same answer 5 years ago. There's nothing too
of
crazy to
course.
say there.
I feel like we could expand on the map thing. Like, do you have like a perfect layout of a map if you made one? Is there like
That's just
something you
not
prefer?
something I would.
Okay,
Most of my favorite maps are often more defense heavy,
so you prefer
so
defense?
that's typically what I do. But I don't know. I've been told my taste in maps is weird, but I don't know. It's just maps you can hippo on that
Hmm.
are preferably fast-ish. I don't know. There have been very few like community-made maps recently because so some of the maps in Q were originally community mode made, but the only place you'd be able to find like alternative bridge maps is on scrims. They do take community suggestions and have their own little queuing system where you can play on those maps, but none of them are particularly amazing from what I've played. There's a lot of joke maps. What's interesting though, I would like if I thought about it, I would have probably tried to build like my perfect map at some point, but that would take ages. I suck at building.
So you just want defensive stuff, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite map is probably Hyperfrost. So, well, that's kind of a different story, but I've not lost on that map in like 4 years by sheer luck. So obviously
Hmm.
it's my favorite map. But outside of that, I mean, the fun maps in my opinion, like Stumped, Fortress, Urban to some degree, but that's kind of annoying to fight most like sweaty people on. I don't know,
Yeah.
yeah, Stumped and Fortress, for argument's sake, are probably my two favorite
Okay.
maps aside from Hyperfrost.
Okay. What do you think about the opinion that Bridge should have its own lobby?
Um, don't I don't think it should really. I think it's fine as a mode in Duels. I wouldn't. I don't think there's any downside to it having its own lobby, but I'd say that's probably a waste of server resources that could be spent improving the actual game mode or Duels as a whole. I don't think it would draw. Actually, it might draw a ton more players, and obviously that would be a good thing. But I mean, I am fine with it being in the Duels lobby.
Hmm.
I would if they did add a bridge lobby and not make some kind of big update to fix things, I'd be somewhat surprised. But at that rate, why not just fix it and keep it in the duels lobby?
Yeah. For most
I don't
people,
know.
it's because like everything in Jules is about Bridge. There's a lot of AP, a lot of modes, and it's the most popular like mode for Jules.
That's true.
Even on
That's
the
true, actually.
yeah, even on content creation side, Bridge has always just been insanely popular compared to like UHC.
Yeah, I'm running around the lobby now. Bridges. what's obviously Bridge is the most players. The second highest player mode at the moment is Classic, which has under half of what Bridge has. So yeah, I guess that. Yeah, I mean, based on player count, it probably should have its own lobby, but who knows if that'll actually happen. I don't really mind either way.
What do you think about a ranked mode within Bridge? This is assuming Bridge has its
Ranked?
own lobby. Yeah, it'll be like an NPC.
Yeah, I mean, that used to exist ages ago. And if you see people in the lobby with like, say, like season 1 of the Bridge top
Yeah.
50 or
I have a UHC one.
stuffing, yeah, that used to be ranked Bridge, as it were.
Yeah, but this would be perm.
From what I understand, there was a lot of boosting. From what I also understand, there was a lot of sniping, elo, and I mean, probably a lot of cheating as well. I didn't play particularly actively or competitively while the ranked seasons were still going, so I can't speak from experience. I think it could be fine. I think ranked Skywars could have been fine, but they didn't try to fix it, so it got removed. I think ranked Bridge would probably go a similar way. I don't know if it was going to. I think ranked stuff like that's probably better kept in private
Tournaments?
communities.
Oh.
Like, well, yeah, all tournaments actually, but stuff like scrims and the having it on a different server kind of removes the point of cheating because you're not going to get a cool title from it.
Yeah.
But it's still there for the people that want to play tournaments and stuff.
What do you think about the
Yeah.
quote unquote deader modes? Like capture the flag?
I don't really know why CTF was added. They had players for like the first month, and I mean, there hasn't been a single game of it today. The only like the 4 teams modes and CTF haven't had a single queue today. And I mean, even 4v4 has only had one, maybe two. I mean, threes was a good addition, but the other, I think they should have just removed. It was never added CTF, and I mean, it would be nice to see a revival in the 4 teams modes and CTF, but I don't know how that would happen or why really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
It's like
really
the other
understand
dead
why it was
sub
added.
modes. It's only used for boosting.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you look at the few higher Bridge Winstreak, I'm pretty sure most of them are boosted at CTF. So yeah, it's kind of just boost ascent drop.
Do you think these should be like revamped or like quote unquote given more attention?
Hey, it could be. It doesn't. I don't think it really needs it, honestly. It would be nice if it happened, but again, with putting it in its own lobby, I think that would probably be a bad use of server resources. I would much rather the main modes that people actually played were fixed than more were revived, because ultimately that'll draw more people away from the other modes, which were already kind of struggling.
So you want all the dead modes like
But,
removed pretty much?
I mean, I don't even know about removed, but I think they'd be better off removed than completely revamped, because at that point it's just, yeah, they could spend that time doing anything else.
So it's just a waste
I
of
don't know,
time, you think?
kind of, yeah, I guess.
Let's talk about the community being separated by wins and skill.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so a while ago, probably until late 2020, early 2021, the whole community was on Hypixel, and the whole community revolved around the Bridges Discord server. So it was kind of a everyone knew everyone situation, and my opinion, that was one of the better points for the game. Actually, yeah, it was very tight knit and stuff. And specifically, I think the people that brought the change about most are probably Bucky and Cheetah. And they kind of popularized the game mode to a point where there became so many good players that they just wanted to move away from the server and fight each other. So they made there are a few different quote unquote scrim servers before the main scrim server that's up today. But what was there? There was Bucky Tor, there was Crowbridge, there was one other one I think, but I can't remember what it was. But they all kind of died out, and then the actual current scrim server was made, and that took off. I don't really know why it took off any more than the other attempts, but now that kind of exists as a way for people to fight each other and get better. And they cite Hypixel lag as a big reason why they'd rather play on scrims. I don't really find it gets in the way that much. They also have like knockback and stuff set up completely differently on there, which I also find counterproductive. Because I mean, if you get good on scrims and go on Hypixel, it's different. In my opinion, I'd say obviously Hypixel still has a bigger player base, but obviously a lot more of the Hypixel players now are casual or just people that want a lot of wins. So it's just scrims for everyone. I think they do track. I think they do track stats on scrims, but it's not there's not like a wins leaderboard or anything. So it's the emphasis is much more on getting good as opposed to getting a high position on a leaderboard.
So pretty much like
I
OG
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it was a good idea per se, because taking away the more competitive side of the community kind of killed the Hypixel community a bit. I mean, Bridges died, kind of, and all the other sub communities that spawned from Bridges are also kind of fizzling out. But yeah, all that's really left now is the main scrims community, and then just subgroups of people, just groups of friends who play on Hypixel.
Yeah.
So overall, I don't think it's a particularly good thing that it happened, but it could be argued both ways because scrims also took all the really sweaty players out of queue. So Hypixel players don't really have to deal with them, and scrims players don't have to deal with people they don't want to fight. So it's kind of mutually beneficial, but it's also kind of not mutually beneficial because new players do tend to get shoveled towards scrims. You'll see people asking, like, "Oh, how do I get good at British?" And someone's like, "Play scrims," which I don't really like because I think scrims teaches a very different play style, which works if you want to get good. But most of the people who ask that question don't want just to be good; they want to get a lot of wins, and you're not going to get wins on scrims. So I think it's a bad idea overall, but there are definitely good points to it.
Okay, makes sense. Did anything else get affected? Like some small Discord communities, maybe?
Those didn't really exist to begin with. So it all starts as the one central Bridges server, and then after people branched out, there were a couple of smaller like precursors to scrims. They died out, and Bridges didn't really get affected until the normal scrim server was made, and after that took off, it kind of just the bridges just kind of crumbled. Yeah, it said the strongest community is definitely on scrims, but I don't know. I was never really in the scrims community, and I kind of stopped being in the bridges community after they died. So community-wise, nothing's really changed in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. And when you mean the bridge died, do you mean there's like no actual like grinders left? Because number-wise, it's still the number one jewel for player count.
Oh no. People do very much still play. I don't even know if I consider myself in the community really. Obviously, people still play. If I look at top 10 wins quickly, number 10 still plays, number 9 still plays, number 8 plays a bit, number 7 I don't know, number 6 no, number 5 no, number 4 no, and then top 3 still play a little bit. Oh, except for Timothy, he doesn't play.
So what do you mean
So a
by
lot
dead
of
com?
I wouldn't say it's dead really. I wouldn't say it was in a more alive state, really. It's kind of just been idling. People get wins, log off for the day, and log back on at some point, get a few more wins. There's no real sense of community, and there hasn't been for quite a long time. But people still play.
Mm-hmm.
It's just become a lot more isolated to you and a couple of other people you play with occasionally or talk to.
So it's all just friend groups, pretty much.
But yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
From what I've seen, at least.
Okay, that makes more sense. Want to move on?
Yeah, sure.
So what are the essentials for a bridge in terms of settings?
Um, there really isn't a ton to it. I wouldn't say there's any mods on Luna that you have to have. A lot of people play with hitboxes. I don't really suffer because of it. Obviously it's nice to be able to see your FPS, CPS ping, all that stuff, but that's not really specific to Bridge. The only thing you would really want to make sure you have is an overlay that turns the top layer a bit darker or a different color. It just makes it a lot easier to build up. Because I mean, if you're bridging, you go up past height limit, you might fall. That kind of sucks. So there's a lot of overlays which will just turn the top layer, the bridge, darker or a different texture. It makes it a lot easier to just play mindlessly, which is a good thing in my eyes. But I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's no real. It's not like Skyblock where there are a bunch of mods you need to have and timers on things. It's a lot more free in that sense.
Yeah. So it's just playstyle, pretty much. That's bridge. Just need
Yeah, pretty
raw
much.
skill, quote unquote game
I mean,
sense, I guess.
yeah, that kind of applies to everything. I interpreted the question as there's nothing really specific to bridge, because obviously it's good to click 20, it's good to be smart. But I mean, those aren't really bridge specific things. It's good to click fast and be smart in pretty much any mode I can think of.
Yeah.
Even
So,
hardcore.
so you only just need an overlay. Shows the build limit being recolored.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much. You can't really dodge anymore. Otherwise, I'd probably say get Lilith as well. But you can't use Lilith before game starts, so that's kind of pointless.
And it applies to everything. It's a Lilith point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess let's move on. So what are your goals for Duels / bridge?
Pretty much just play until I stop enjoying it, or at least until I start disliking it. It is somewhat about getting wins in a high position, but that's still kind of second to wanting to play. So I'm way too lazy to grind if I don't want to. But duels wise, I mean, the modes I play would be nice to get 10,000 wins. I already have 3 godlikes. The only titles I could see myself getting to godlike that I haven't are Sky Wars, TNT, Blitz, and very maybe combo, but I don't really play a ton of combo anymore. Obviously for bridge and just play, if I play more than everyone above me over the long run, I will get number 1 eventually. But that'll be years and years in the future, and I don't know, the server might shut down before I get there. More specifically to doubles bridge, definitely get number 1. No one above me plays as much as me at the moment. And it's not even that I play a ton, it's just that everyone else barely plays. Yeah, I don't know. I could sum the whole thing up into just play until I feel like not playing.
Why do you want 10k in those other modes?
I don't know, godlike's a nice number. It's I'd say it's just closure, I guess. It's
So
a
it's just
nice
5
round
digits.
amount of I think it's a good point to reevaluate if you want to carry on, kind of. Because I mean,
Oh, so you gain some
the
experience in that
only
mode.
I mean, kind of. The only title I've taken beyond Godlike has been obviously Bridge and Sumo. But Sumo's mindless, so I'm Godlike to in
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I've played that past 10k, so I probably will just carry on playing a bit of Sumo when I feel like it. Side effect of that being I will get wins. Then, I mean, UHC I play from time to time, so I will get wins in that. But I mean, it'll be ages till I'm Godlike 2. My only other Godlike's Classic, which I haven't touched in like 2 years, so I doubt I'll play that, really.
What about icons and colors?
I don't really play for them. I mean, all the icons I really like and colors I already have. If
Oh,
I play like a good variety of modes, eventually I will get more and more of them. But I am definitely not gonna sit down and grind for the black prefix color or something. It'll more just be some point I'll get it if I play more Mega Walls, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get 2,500 wins in that.
do you have any overall wins, like goals for overall?
I mean, 100k would be cool. I'm at 78 right now. That's kind of the only. I mean, you could say beyond that, 200k, 300k, but you can't really get those kinds of numbers unless you main sumo or classic. So I can't see myself setting goals like that realistically, but I can definitely get 100k.
Yeah,
Can
100k as a
definitely.
bridge main is decent.
I don't think. Wait, see. Mental, like. I'm not on the list right now. I think number 1 for bridge wins has 100k overall. I'm honestly not sure that, but I don't know of anyone for sure that has 6-figure wins as a bridge main, so that could be cool.
Yeah.
But there are a few people quite close, so I probably wouldn't be the first.
So you did mention you have alts, and you did play on some other people's accounts. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, probably around 2020, so maybe 5 or 6 months after I started playing bridge. I was playing pretty much exclusively with Crow, who was a very good player at the time, and he sort of got me into the game. So he invited me to the Bridges Discord and got me into the community. But he was my main and one of my only teammates. But I was low-key getting carried really, really hard by him, and my win-loss was way higher than it should have been for someone who just started playing. Obviously, I wanted to maintain that, so I played a lot with him. I mean, at the time, I still had other people I wanted to play with, but I was scared to play with anyone that wasn't him for fear of bringing my win-loss down. So I wanted another account to play on, basically, where I just didn't have to worry about losing, really. So one of my other friends at the time, who I played Bed Wars with occasionally, mentioned he had a fresh account that he just didn't use, and he gave that to me, and that eventually just became a second main of sorts for Bridge, as it were. And I got gifted ranks on it, and over time it just accumulated a lot of wins just from solo queuing occasionally, just playing with people from lobby 1, basically just anything I wouldn't do on my main because I cared about my win-loss. I still do to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually been a few points where that account's had more wins than my main. So I've been banned on my main twice because I went through a phase of cheating. So that account really did become a second main for quite a long time. And there's been a couple of points where it's had more wins than the 16FigureLimit. I'm trying to equal it out a bit. That account's at 23.5k wins now. My main just hit Celestial, so hopefully my main could stay ahead. But that account's actually right under my main on doubles wins, or just above, actually. That account's number 5 for doubles wins. My main's number 6, which is weird. So that's definitely the account I played most on, besides my main. And then I have 2 other accounts, which I played a notable amount on, and one of those is called God of Game Sense. I started that, I think, during my main's second ban. I just wanted to play, and that ended up having 100 win-loss at Godlike, which I'm very proud of. That accounts for another 10,000 wins that I just did over the course of my second ban. The other account, which I had, is been inactive for ages. I started playing on it in 2022, I think. I got 8,000 wins on that account, and that was the account I have my highest win streak on. But yeah, so I've played mainly on 4 different accounts. I've played a little bit on like just random alts that might have like Diamond or Master, and on other people's mains a little bit. But normally if people ask like what other accounts I played on, I just tell them those 4.
Mm-hmm.
I say the wins still add up. I haven't done the maths recently, but I'm very close to number 1 just with those 4 accounts.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I might be past Akaz at this point, honestly. But I mean, he's played on alts as well.
But probably top 3 then, or top 2.
Yeah, definitely top 3. Oh wow. Okay, so that's
Just
like barely
barely.
number 1 just between those 4. Okay, well that means I have like probably a 5 or 6k lead on him then. That's insane. Yeah, I won't talk about like random alts because I can't really prove I played on those. So for argument's sake, just including those 4, I'd be number 1 by like 260 wins roughly.
That's a shade moment. Having like
Yup.
50 alts.
It's like the equivalent of carp.
Yeah. So obviously, dodging in each game mode is different, perspective-wise, opinion-wise. How does the bridge community feel about dodging? And what is your opinion on dodging?
Dodging has always been somewhat demonized to varying degrees over the course of when I've played, at least. When I started, it was very much a niche thing. Though it was condemned as cheating to some degree. Like, you'd hear the name of someone who dodges, and they would be called a dodger. They'd be kind of put in the same category as people that cheated, which I never really agreed with. But Lilith eventually became more and more popular, and more and more people started dodging. And at that point, it became kind of just a thing that nearly everyone does to some degree, and people would start lying about it and trying to cover it up. I never really tried to deny it. I mean, I maintain a pretty high witness on all my accounts, which I'm just not good enough to do without it, so it's kind of obvious. But yeah, I don't know. You couldn't really admit to dodging and not be called a bad person by at least someone, and you get sniped for dodging. Still do if you could dodge. But obviously after the update, people wanted another excuse to snipe because obviously you can't use Lilith anymore. Do people still snipe you because you dodged in the past? I still get sniped a lot, and even though you can't dodge, it's sort of a you don't deserve your stats kind of argument, which I also don't really see. They kind of just want an excuse to snipe for anything. So the dodging was a very easy scapegoat, but going back, it's always been somewhat frowned upon. But I mean, it was more a case of people openly admitting to it versus people trying to cover it up and keep it on the down low. But yeah, for that, I don't disagree with it. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a different way of playing the game. In my eyes, it doesn't harm anyone else. The line to be drawn, in my mind, is that cheating does affect your opponent. Like, if you cheat while fighting someone and they know you're cheating, they're going to feel worse for it. If you're dodging, they're not even going to fight you. I would much rather just avoid a confrontation with someone else than cheat in order to win it. And some people honestly say dodging is worse than closet cheating, which I've never agreed with. I can't really rationalize that. But yeah, no, it's always been kind of not something you should admit to, but some people do, some people don't.
Do both sides of the coin say that? Like casuals and competitive players?
Well, I mean, before the dodging update, a lot of casual players were still dodging. So, I mean, yeah, I'd say so. I don't know if I'd class myself as a casual player, really. I definitely wouldn't say I'm competitive, though.
You can
But
add on grinders
you
to the
see,
casual side.
yeah. But I mean, everyone from like just legends who started playing a few months ago, and they'd see someone talk about Lilith, and they think, "Oh yeah, I'll get that." And then you start seeing their win loss creep up slowly. That could be a bad thing, but I think it's better than nobody being able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the competitive side typically frowns upon it more, from what I understand, because they feel that worse players are sort of putting themselves on the same level stats wise, even though a lot of the time the competitive players don't have the higher stats, which I've never really understood either.
Yeah, it's like that
But
in
yeah,
every
no,
duel,
it's
I
kind of
think.
even. Yeah, the best players don't have the best stats, and the best
And the
stats aren't
best,
the best players. Yeah,
yeah, and the
goes
best
both
players
ways.
hitting on dodging. How long have you been in your Krun guild?
On my main, I'm in Hypixel Knights,
Yeah.
which is just not a Duels affiliated guild at all. I've been there for 4 and a bit years. I've made a
Wow.
strong point of staying there. It's
Mm.
sort of the guilds that I'm in. I don't really. I've been in other guilds before, but once I joined that community, I never really left it. It's a very nice break from the typical sort of encounters you'd have in a Duels guild.
Yeah.
So it's not even that there's no toxicity, there's just no reason to be toxic. I mean, half of them barely play, and the people that do play like Skyblock, Skywars. There's like one other person with above 20,000 Duels wins in that guild. It does help. Most of them are, like, I don't want to say old really, but most of them are
Adults?
old enough
18
to,
plus?
adults. Yeah, they're not immature. There's no like toxicity at all, really. It's just a very nice break from a otherwise somewhat infested community.
Do you like any Duels guilds currently?
I'm kind of out of touch with dual skills, honestly. The only real exposure I've had to guilds, duels wise, is Wukong, which I'm in on my alt, but I mean, that's dead. No one in Wukong plays really anymore. But I've been in a few of the duels guilds. I think I was in Spawn Block on one of my accounts. I've been in Bridges and then Zavacon, which was a sort of later version of Bridges. Those were both strictly Bridge guilds. I wouldn't say they were wider duels guilds. I've not interacted with Rod or Class or any of the other ones that play a ton.
And all of them were semi-toxic, or what?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure not all of the duels guilds are toxic. I'm sure there are plenty of more chill and calm ones, but those aren't typically the guilds I see on leaderboards or around the place really. So the only guilds I'm familiar with in duels are ones that have had a bad reputation at some point or are filled with people I don't really want to talk to. So I
Yeah,
guess the
makes
main reason
sense.
I've stayed away from duels is just to distance myself from that side of the community. So I'm not a big fan of it. I just want to play the game.
Yeah, makes sense. And all
Yeah.
the chill guilds are pretty much just friend groups. It's not really a guild.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guilds do start as friend groups and then kind of just branch out, but a lot of those friend groups are not the most welcoming to other people. So I guess the way I found is just to join a guild that doesn't play duels at all, really. Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's it for the
I think that's
podcast.
it. Yeah,
You want to say anything?
thank you for. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me about it.
And guys, do remember that I am perm banned on 6 Discord accounts, so if you want to be in an episode, DM me on Steam or just leave a YouTube comment. Although I can't do much with a YouTube comment, for now at least. Anyways, bye.